Hello, this is Gene. It's day one of the Premiership season, and we are starting it off with Manchester United against Fulham at Old Trafford. So I'm going to start this with a celebration to the new season. Let's hope that everybody plays well, less injuries, and the cream rises to the top. Whoever that is, if it's going to be City again, or it's going to be Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Liverpool, no. Anyway, I never even tasted this beer before. We had a wedding a while back, and everybody brought all the alcohol back to me. So I'm trying to eat all this or drink this. So let's just see how this feels. I've seen this video or this thing is advertised a lot in the United States, especially when soccer or football matches go on. So we'll see. I've never had this before. I've had Dos Equis and other Mexican beers, but ooh, that's pretty good. So there's a lot of sugar in that. It's not letting me see. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, 13 carbs. There's a lot of sugar in that. So I'll probably just have one. um, so I have no idea what Eric's going to do today. That back four, he could do so many weird things about this. So we'll discuss about who I think he's actually going to select, what I'd rather, what they would do. Have to understand, everybody needs to understand that this is the first game. Not everybody's back fit. If we had a full fit team, I'm not sure that Delic even plays. I think it would probably Martinez and Euro. But we're in a good position in the back four right now. Not so much where Luke Shaw plays with his issues with injuries and stuff, and Malacia is not back. But this is what I think he's going to do. And every part of the team has different ways you can go with it. And that's a good thing to have. It's good to have depth there. But it's just be interesting to see what he'll do here. And I don't think this team is going to be the same team that starts against Fulham than when we play Liverpool at home in a couple weeks. I think it's going to be it's not be totally different, but it's going to be different. And there will be players on the field today. If they play well and play what's against Brighton well, they will play against Liverpool. But if everybody's back, obviously Laurel's not going to be back, and Shaw's not going to be back. Excuse me. I think there'll be a difference, and I think we'll really understand his top team as available against Liverpool. You can have a couple games to be in. The fitness will be better. So I think we're going to see that against Liverpool, unless we have a lot of injuries between there, and we'll see what happens. What I think he's going to do, I think he's going to do exactly what he did against Man City. I think you're going to put Martinez out wide, or take the Shaw's position, and then you're going to see Maguire and who do you have there? Was it O'Shea? Yeah, that's what it was. He had Maguire and O'Shea. We're not going to see that. What am I talking about? That's not going to happen. I don't see. I was thinking about all this before I got on here to do this video. There's so many ways he can go here. Probably the easiest thing he could do is you have Delo, Maguire, Martinez, and then put I can't say his name because of my stroke, but the guy from Bayern Munich, Mazzaruri or whatever his name is. If he's good enough to play that amount of time, but I don't think he'll do that. I think he's going to bring both Delict and Mazzarawi after halftime, like 16 minutes or 60 minutes in. So that who do you put out there? You're not going to put Harry Amos out there. And he might put Delo on the other side and then put somebody on the other. I don't know. Lindelof could play that position. It's really interesting, and we're going to know in about an hour where he's going to go with that. I still think he might do. I don't think he's going to put O'Shea and Maguire to get us together. He could. He really could. I don't know, man. This is really hard. He might put Martinez out there and then put Delic and Maguire together in below. I don't think he should do that. This is really, really difficult because if everybody was fit, regardless about Yarrow, I think it's clearly it'll be Maserati, Martinez, Delic, and Delo. That would be, and we have the ability to do that. It's whether or not Delic is actually fit, and also Maserati. So I have no idea what he's going to do, guys. I really don't, and it's going to be interesting to see. He's not going to put guys out there that he thinks are going to get injured. The whole issue we found out about Yarrow, he has some stuff in her knee. Now that that's not what got injured, but apparently he has a little thing in there. So while he's replicating with that, I think they need to do something about that. Now maybe it's just something they saw on a scan that looks a little abnormal and you can't really do anything about it until it actually pops. It's really difficult to say how he's going to do the back four. The stubborn old man that he can be, I think he'll probably play exactly what he played against Man City. You're going to see Martinez out there, and you're going to see a Maguire and O'Shea, and you're going to see Delo on the other side. Because we played okay against City with that. Now we played a lot better once Martinez got back and partured Maguire. We played a lot better. But again, City didn't have their best players out there, so it's hard to tell. But we played better with the ball. So I'll just say at this point, he's going to do exactly what he did against City. He might do something that if Maserati and Delict are good enough to play 60 minutes, he might let him do that and then bring Maguire in at the end. If it's a close game, they're only down by a goal or two, because Fulham likes to cross a lot into the box. And so Maguire is going to be useful, and it would be useful to start this game. It won't be the way we want to play. If you'd have O'Shea and Maguire right next to each other, we're not going to have a high line. And we'll get killed if we do that. And a couple times against City, that almost happened to us. Please excuse, I guess we got people out here doing lawn stuff, and that's what you have to do. So I'll just talk a little bit louder. Oh man, it's right behind us. Anyway, okay, let's get into the midfield. I think it's pretty easy. Casemiro is going to be there. Obviously, Bruno's going to be there, and so is Kobe Manu. That's pretty easy. So I don't think anything's going to change in there. It's what we're going to do up top, which we have several different types of ways we can go with it. If Xerxes is available, if all these guys are available, I could see him playing, but I don't think he will. He'll come on probably 60 minutes again as well to get his debut. If we're doing well, he might get a goal or something like that. I wouldn't be shocked if Mount plays there, and then we'll have Ahmad and Rashford to start the game. We don't know how fit Garnacho is, and I don't. It's one of those weird things. It's similar to the back four. What we're going to do with the top four. Or does he want to include Mount a lot more this year? If he's physically be able to do it, it's going to be interesting to say. We can go with the false nines and let Bruno play there. I think that Rashford's going to start, and he might start up top. Then you'd have Ahmad and Garnacho if they're fit. We're just not sure if Garnacho can play the entire game. But what might happen is that he'll start off with that, and after the 70 minutes, if we're winning, or he might take Garnacho out and Rashford will go play out there on the left, and then bring in Xerxes to play up front, because he never takes off Rashford. And the thing is, if Rashford's playing in the middle there, up top, he's not gonna. Well, I should say, he probably won't work as much as he did on the left. So it's really interesting what he'll do. I don't believe that you're going to sit down Rashford. Everybody says he'd be shut down. I don't think that's going to happen. It just really comes back to their fitness levels, and we're going to find out a lot more about this after this game against Brighton, and the team he actually selects against Liverpool, you're going to see probably his best game, the best team in his mind, and we'll know from that. It won't be catastrophic, if Rashford plays and he doesn't do anything. If we end up losing the game like we did to Fulham last year, when we were at the end of the game, we're peppering them and they got us on the break. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Now he's like right behind me. So that's not good. Hopefully you guys will hear this. But basically that's what it is. I think he's going to put Maguire and O'Shea, Delo, and Martinez to start the game. The midfield's going to be the same as it was. It's going to be Manu, Casemiro, and Bruno. But I just think he's going to put Rashford up top. You're going to have Garnacho on the left, Ahmad on the right, and that's basically going to be. And I guess that means that Mount doesn't get in to the game. Like I said, there are so many ways he can go here. He could do that because it's Fulham, and Fulham, even though they're a good team, a mid-table type of team, I think whatever he does, we'll do okay against them. We just have to we have to finish our chances like we didn't do against City. Marcus could have at least 2 goals yesterday in that game. So we have to be able to do that. We're going to be at home. We're going to underneath the lights. We should do well. So maybe he'll put Mount in there. He'll play maybe the same team that played against City. Like I said, there were a lot of good things that we did in that game. Just watching him. He's in my yard almost. Anyway. Okay, what I would do is that if everybody was fit or played, they could play, if they're on the bench, right? To me, that means they can play at least 60 minutes. You don't put people on the bench if they don't have the ability to play a little bit of time, right? So if everybody's fit and they're all on the squad going in the team, I would put Delo, Martinez, De Ligt, and Mazraoui. Then I'd have the same midfield. At this point, there's no reason to change that until we get a new midfielder in. And then I'd probably put Rashford, Garnacho, and Ahmad, because I think they play well together, and he needs to get Rashford a goal. He's still going to be a very important player for us, and he has played that position before. We beat City with him playing there. And I think what will happen is if we're winning, we got a goal up or 2 goals up, and he'll probably do this shit that's going to piss people off. He's going to let Drewski's come in about 70 minutes, and then Garnacho or Ahmad will go offside. Will go off, and then he'll go back to his normal position, and maybe if Garnacho is ready to go 90 minutes, he'll go to the other side where Ahmad was, or they might bring in Sancho and or Anthony. Now, personally, I don't think either one of them deserves really any playing time at this point. They haven't played well in the preseason. Sancho wasn't doing anything defensively when City got their goal. He just watched around as shit went around him, and he didn't do anything to attack anybody. So I don't think he deserves to be there. I would put Anthony on before him. At least Anthony has some sort of affinity for the player, the coach that he has. This shit's all going to go in my pool, and I'm going to end up going and kill him. Anyway. Now, the question is, regardless of who we set up with, and he might do something crazy here. He might play 3 in the back. Then you have Martinez, De Ligt, and Maguire there. Or Martinez, De Ligt, O'Shea, whatever. Again, when everybody's fit, when we have Euro and all that, it's going to be weird to have all that type of depth, really talented depth in the back 4. Obviously, we have to get people to replace Luke Shaw's position, but he's been there forever, and we got to find somebody like that. And I thought maybe Romasso would have been a guy who's played that position. Again, I don't know. I don't watch enough about La Liga, but I watched a little bit. I always was a fan of Reguilon. If I could get him for like $10 million, I'd get him. It's not going to be exactly what we want us to be, because we want to be up pressing and have a high line. If you have a O'Shea and Maguire, you're not going to really have that. You might try it at first, but I think we'll run into big problems about it. And as good as Martinez is, with his IQ when it comes to football, he can't play that position that long. All he really did against City is he kept converting back into the midfield, which is good for him because he holds on to the ball well. I would think that we would win this game, but we have to end up finalizing our chances. I wouldn't be shocked if Fulham scores first. It could be for whatever reason. We can't. I don't know. He's almost done in the back. There he goes. Hopefully he's not coming back. I'm hoping that we win 3-1. I think we'll end up giving a goal up. I would love it if it was like 3-0 and we pretty much shut them down and they had no real chances on goal. I mean, to be honest, City didn't really do a whole lot against us. They did the first 20 minutes. They played okay. But again, we can't really use that as a judgment. I remember in 1999, in the Cherry Field or the Community Field or whatever it was back then, I think Arsenal beat us 3-0 as the defending champions that year because we kind of like died at the end of that season and lost our title to them. And they just destroyed us. And then we ended up winning everything after that. Now again, Arsenal was right there at the end. But, so, that's where I'm at. 2-1, 3-1. If it's 2-1, I think that Maguire probably would stay in the game. Or he might be, if he didn't start the game, he might come in later on to replace De Ligt. It's an interesting thing. It really is, because we don't really know. We have about 60 or 70 games, 80 games now, of him being in charge of Manchester United, the Premiership. We know he's stubborn as a manager, but I think a lot of that stubbornness is done by the players who are not playing his style, a lot of injuries and stuff, and he only trusts certain players. People call that nepotism or favorites. I think that's all bullshit. I think he sees the people that really try and practice, and he rewards those type of players. This high thing that he didn't really do anything with Ahmad. Ahmad was injured. There's a few things that I've had issues with him when it comes to what he does, but I do believe that if he has everybody available, and again, we can't think about Yarrow. Yarrow's probably gonna be a player for next year. We got to get rid of all his whatever kneeling type of things, and obviously he can come back later on now, and he could be a depth. You know, if De Ligt and Martinez has a really good partnership, then Yarrow can come in at the end of the game and probably spot both of them. And then Maguire can come in at the end of games if we're up by a couple goals just to see out the games. So I have no problem with Maguire wanting to stay. He can do these type of things. And if we're chasing a goal, obviously he's good when it comes to that. And that's another thing why I probably would say, unless we get a really, really good deal for McTominay, he should probably stay here as well. But I think he wants to start somewhere, and I fully understand that. He's been with the team forever, with the organizations forever, so that's good. But again, I think the team that we see, it'd be a totally game against Brighton. I think it's going to be more defensive, so it'd be interesting. Maybe Mount will play in that game, start in that game. People know Mount is one of those. He's not like Fletcher. He's a little bit more about him than Fletcher has, but he's similar in that he goes in and people don't look at what he does when he's like an ant there and he's trying to get around. He's almost like Fred, but a different way than Fred is. And you have to have some of those players in the game, especially if Casemiro has lost a step. And Manu, as good as he is, because he can hold on the ball really well, he's not the fastest guy ever, and he's still learning the game. And we all hope that he has that next level that he goes up to, but we never know. You never know what happens. And there are guys that are in the Blues team right now that are looking to advance their career. But I think the game against Brighton, we'll see probably different changes. And obviously these other players will have another 8 days to train. And if De Ligt doesn't play a full game today, or really close him for like 30 minutes, he might actually start against them. And then I think the real test, we really have to get something out of these 2 first games. I would love to get 3 points. 4 points I would be okay with, but we really need to get 6 points here before we play Liverpool, because Liverpool is going to be an interesting game. Different coach, same team, different coach, and they didn't beat us last year, and that they're going to be thinking about that. games they should have won some of them. Even though we started, I think both games at home, I think we scored first. We're not going to be the same team. I don't think that we're going to be that wide open when it comes to playing Liverpool like that. But I'm just happy that we're here. I mean, what time are we at now? About 2 minutes or 2 hours from the start of the game. In about 55 minutes, we're going to get the team news, and it's just interesting. There's so many ways you can go with this. It could be the same pragmatic coach like he was against City, but this is a team. We're playing a team that's good. They have good talent. They could obviously affect us. They beat us last year, but we think we'll have the ball more. So maybe you decide that we're going to bring somebody in that is more of that type of player. So we'll see. It's going to be a really good year, and hopefully we'll get past Man City and their 1-1-5, and we'll get past all that, whatever that means. Obviously, something should happen there. I don't know what that will be. I don't think they're going to take any titles away from them, and I don't think they'll get relegated, but they might get a hefty fine, and they might get our 20 or 30 point deduction this year. They definitely could have that. So they may not win the championship this year. And of course, they'll use that. Their friends will say, this is the only reason why we didn't win it. Well, you shouldn't have done what you did. Not the players per se, but the management and all that. So let me know. I've been talking for a while. Let me know what you think the result of the game will be. I think it will win by 2 points. 2 points. 2 goals, 3-1, 2-0. I think it could be very, very tense if we don't finish our chances. I don't like having Martinez out there on the wing, either side. I think he's a great player when he's inside. That's where that whole thing comes up with having a 4-2-4 or whatever he has, where he had Mount and Bruno right next to each other, and Kobe and Casemiro together, so they kind of like control the midfield. And then you have, if Martinez is playing there, he's also part of that spine that's in the middle of the field. But we don't have a really good left back. So at this point, we might, and we might get some players. But we can't lose so many points so early in the season. No one's going to say that we're going to win the league, but in order for us to finish in the top 4 to play the Champions League, if we don't end up winning the Europa League, we have to play well. We have to have at least 6 out of the first 3 games to do well. We have to at least average two points every game we play, and that will give us around 78 points, and that'll be more than enough to get the top 4. So that's what we have to do, and it's a tough start. Even though 2 of those 3 games are at home, these are all teams that have finished in the top 11 last year. And Liverpool, like I said, have lost to us. They didn't beat us last year, so they're going to have that. And of course, they're a rival. And last year at this point, we lost our first 2 games, and then it was 2 years ago actually. It was 2 years ago, and then Liverpool came into town, and then Sancho got a goal, and Marcus got a goal, and we beat them. And that made that season turn around, and we finished 3rd that year. We need to be consistent, play a certain type of way, have the ability to change that if we need to. If the team is dominating the ball in the midfield, we still have that problem. Then we have to figure a way to counteract that. And that's what we do against teams that really hold on to the ball, like Man City. And clearly, we could have won that game 4-1 easily if our guys actually just finished shooting their chances. Again, as I said before, it's not really indicative of the best City team out there. Although they're getting a little bit older, and maybe that's going to be a good year this year. Now, before I leave, I'll give you my top 4, and the last, who I think will be relegated. I'm just going to say the top 4. At this point, until the transfers are done, I don't know who I'd put number 1 yet. I think Arsenal probably, they're in that position now that they probably should ascend to actually win the championship this year. If something happens to City, if anything, they're going to lose something when it comes to points. They did it to Everton last year. They did it to Forest last year. If something found him guilty, they have to lose points points this year, and that'll be enough for City that Arsenal will probably end up winning the league if they continue doing what they're doing. So I still think, regardless of that, unless they get a 20-point deduction, I think City will be in the top four. I think Arsenal will be in the top four. I think Manchester United will be in the top four. Then you have the issue of Villa, Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs. Who do you put there from those teams like that into the top four? And I think probably the last really good full team for Liverpool under the Klopp regime, even though he's not going to be there. I think they'll probably somewhat sneak in because Spurs is Spurs, and Villa doesn't. I mean, Villa is going to be playing in the Champions League, and I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. And then Newcastle, they're going to be really, really close, and they might actually knock us out and get in. And I don't know how that works with the coefficient. We might get 5 teams in, so maybe both us and Newcastle will get in. And Chelsea, they have talently wise, they're very good. It's whether or not they can actually take that talent and be better with it. I think they're going to play well in a lot of good games, and they're going to look like clearly one of the better teams in the league. But there are other times that they're not going to look so well. They don't have the consistency. They're kind of like us, but we don't really look good. And that's where we want to get for Manchester United. We have to get to the point where we actually played well, that we played the other team off the park. And if we don't win, then like 2008, 2007, we never got outplayed, but we lost some games because we couldn't finish our shots. I think the only team that actually outplayed us in those times was probably Barcelona. Even sometimes Chelsea during that time, they were really good. But we dominated those games, and someone would end up losing these games. We'd have 18 shots, 10 on target, and couldn't get anything in. And we'd end up losing a game like that. We just have to get to that next level. We actually can dominate the games and get some confidence. And who knows what we can do. I think we're good enough to play in the top four. But depending what happens with City, we just don't know. And if they're going to get this information out around Christmas time or the New Year, it would. I mean, it's really at this point. I don't want to say it. It's Arsenal's title to lose. I still think they need to get a real striker, but they played the best of anybody outside of City the last 2 years. So, but again, you never know. If they're winning the league and they become the hunted, maybe they'll just fall down like they normally do. Although they didn't do that last year, they couldn't end up beating City. If they beat them one of those games, they'd have won the championship, and they just didn't do it. All right, I'm going to stop right now because he's coming up around here with a weed whacker. Let me know what you think in the comments. Where do you think we're going to finish? What do you think the game's going to be today? Who do you think is going to be in the top 11 or our starting 11? And it's going to shock you if it's the same old team from last year. We'll see. Maybe McTominay will start today. We'll see. You guys talk. We'll talk to you later, and we'll do something after the game. Hopefully we win, and I'm not really upset. But we'll talk to you then. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.